Pledge. Mr. Skelly, can you lead us to the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A moment of silence for the men and women in the armed forces. Thank you.
Always cramming. One more thing. What's going on downtown?
Hang in there.
How long does it take to do this?
About a month.
I'm sorry.
Pat Erickson, please, if you will, come down.
Good evening, Pat Erickson, 65 Buckingham Road. Bear with me, I'm dealing with a concussion and my thoughts don't seem to want to formulate correctly these days. I'm going to sound like a broken record when I say I'm a lifetime resident. I want to commend this town council because when you first took over, I came to you the very first night and I said, please return civility to our town. I had started as a lifetime resident looking out of state, and I'm sure a lot of people wish I'd gone, but looking to move because I was so disgusted about the tone of the town. I was so tired of seeing the nastiness, and it just had seemed to me like it had gotten out of control. We're not that town, and this town council has not been that way. Recently, in the last few weeks, and I doubt that it has anything to do with the fact that the election is 21 days away, there's been such nasty divisiveness put on our Facebook and pages and all through the press, naming people, questioning why people are not in a position. What employer goes out and publicly tells people that, with, for instance, our chief's position, that has a court case going on? Who in their right mind is going to make public comments when you have an open court case against the town? I would be furious if this town council did. I am going to ask once again, not of our town council, but of a public that attends these meetings, to stop the nasty rhetoric. That's not who we are. That's not what we're about. We can come together and we can work together. I worked on the JPCC committee, and I found working with Dr. Mullen and Walt Bear a pleasure. The members I worked with on the committee I found to be a pleasure. I'm a registered Republican. That doesn't mean I just vote Republican. I vote for the person and what I think that person is. I think you all have done an outstanding job. I think you're given a difficult task, and I'm disgusted with this, and I don't want to see another family person's name put up on Facebook. These people have children in this town, and it is so wrong what is being done. I am disgusted by some of the people out there that are using politics to ruin people's families and ruin their jobs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Pat. Mary Jane Lundgren, please.
Good evening, Mary Jane Lundgren, 89 Chernisky Road. Unfortunately, I'm back here again tonight to talk about transparency. It's getting a little old, and I'm a little sick of it. And I'm totally upset about Mr. Zarba leaving Public Works. I think there's a total lack of transparency about what's been going on. The fact that he was not able to do his job, that people were interfering with his job. I'm sorry, Mr. Bass. You're getting some bad advice, and unfortunately you seem to be listening to it. I have a suspicion as to who is trying to direct traffic down at Public Works. We have a lot of people that get in and say, oh, who are not engineers, who are not people who build roads, who build houses, but there's a lot of people out there that think they're a jack of all trades and can come in and just, try to push around and tell people what to do. And unfortunately, you've lost a really good person who was under Republican mayors, Democratic mayor, invested in this town, raised his family in this town, and now he's left. Dan Stanton's left, Mr. Russo left. There's a lot of people that have left because of the inefficiencies that have been coming down from your administration. So I think the public deserves some transparency as to what happened to Mr. Zarba. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Jane. Chef Winter, please.
Jeff Winter, 22 Morey Road, and I'm sorry that you're having a concussion because you were my friend absolutely on that committee. We worked very well together, so thank you.
Let's try to work together now, Paul.
When have you and I not worked together? I'm serious. Because Pat always has, the town in mind, and that's one thing that did come across when we worked together on the Community Center Committee. I do want to read into the record a paragraph from Mr. Zarba's resignation letter. I was appointed to be in responsible charge of this department and make all operational and management decisions necessary for its effective running, and I no longer feel I'm being allowed to fulfill this obligation. I should mention this was directed to you, Mr. Mayor. This is the first time in my 13-plus years in this position that I have felt I am not in fully charge of my department, as I have clearly been left out of the decision-making process over the past year and a half. Obviously, there are other non-town employees and confidants you have more trust in than I. They clearly have more influence, clout, and power to infuse their opinions on you related to public works issues, which completely defeats my position. I refuse to be accountable for the decisions that are being made without my involvement, input, or knowledge. From non-justified employee hirings and changes, to arbitrarily changing road and bridge design criteria, to making equipment and software purchases on our behalf, are just some of the examples I will cite here. Therefore, I can no longer work under such a haphazard, confusing, and illogical decision-making process. End quote. It's a pretty astounding resignation letter, to say the least. Mr. Zarba and I have had differences in the past, but one thing that I do know from speaking to his peers in other towns, including Stanford and other towns, is that Mr. Zarba is considered among his peers to be a very good public works director. So I have to extend a great amount of respect for their opinions. When Mr. Zarba talks about especially making equipment and software purchases on our behalf, I wasn't exactly sure what he meant, but I do have at least probably one, if not more, examples, and that is the purchase of the pothole machine. When that was brought before the Purchasing Authority on December 6th of 2018, not one person who was there, including the town engineer, no one from Public Works, spoke to that. It was only spoke to by one person. That person was Councilman Paul Zemansky. Dan Stanton was there at that meeting, yet he did not speak to it, did not make a comment on it, whatever. It was essentially sold by Mr. Zemansky. Now, Mr. Zemansky is certainly not an expert on public works. He does not run a department. So why is he talking about a purchase that essentially was at a minimum of $274,000? Why is that not being addressed by Mr. Zarba or Mr. Stanton or anyone else from Public Works? What's also interesting is if you know anything about the Purchasing Authority, at the end of each item that's being purchased, it shows what department or who's making the request. Well, for the asphalt patcher, or shall we say the pothole machine, it was not listed as Public Works or any other department. It was listed under mayor. So the mayor was bringing forth the purchase of a $274,000 piece of equipment. And there's nothing at all saying that Mr. Zarba wanted that, or that Mr. Stanton spoke to it. Instead, again, it's Councilman Zamansky. We always were a little curious about that, but I think based upon Mr. Zarba's letter, it is rather clear that this is a equipment purchase that was not done on behalf of the department, and they probably didn't even need it. You can say what you want, but there may be more efficient ways to do it. The crews could have done it, and there's no, it's absurd the way this was done. And that's just one example. But when someone who's been there for 13 years worked for Pat Murphy, hired by Pat Murphy, worked for David Grombach, and now says, I can no longer work under such a haphazard, confusing, and illogical decision-making process, and this person is respected by their peers who run public works departments, one has to wonder what is going on with our town government. And how does our money be spent? Thank you, Paul. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I'm happy, I don't break my leg on potholes on
Mr. Mayor, that's the end of public comment.
Thank you, Walter. Someone from the garden club here tonight? I don't see anyone, so we'll move on to mayor's remarks.
Bless you.
Bless you. So first, I'd like to congratulate the New Milford High School band for their third place finish at MetLife Stadium. It's great to see the Green Wave being represented, especially regionally. I'd like to congratulate our New Milford varsity football team for their win over Brookfield. Been a long time coming. So congratulations to the varsity football team and the coach. Also, congratulations to our girls varsity cross country team for their first place finish in Nonawag Invitational. Great job to the ladies. Also like to congratulate our New Milford Bulls for their 50th anniversary. So 50 years, they've been teaching our young men and women courtesy, community spirit, teamsmanship, and those young men and women go on to our high school and our junior high school and participate. I'd also like to congratulate their junior peewee and Mighty Mites for their first place finish at state competition. Congratulations to the Bank Street Group and Village Center of the Arts, as they were honored at the Cultural Alliance Business Supports the Arts Breakfast. Bank Street Investments was awarded the Art and Community Award. Village Center of the Arts was awarded the Art and Community Award. So congratulations to both of them. Well honored, representing our town. Also like to thank the New Milford Historical Society, the library, the Center Cemetery, and the town for our first successful annual All Hallows Cemetery tour. We sold out and had a lot of people give us kudos for the actors, the actresses that did that. And I'd just like to thank all the volunteers involved for that wonderful fundraiser and opportunity. And we're looking to make it bigger and better next year. Also, congratulations to the New Milford High School class of 1959. On Saturday, I opened up the town hall for them to partake in looking at town hall. It's changed a little bit since 1959. And I thought it was interesting when they were talking about how Alaska and Hawaii were being put into the State of the Union during their senior year. So I thought it was interesting. So I congratulate them and thank them for most of them coming back to our wonderful town. Also, I'd like to congratulate Ed Burns from our DPW team, as he's our Employee of the Month. Ed's gone above and beyond, and that's what we do. We highlight those employees that go above and beyond as our Employee of the Month. Also like to congratulate the Riverfront Revitalization Committee, Leva Furman, for Riverfest, second annual Riverfest. Though it was raining the second day, they still pulled off a 2-day event, and I'd like to thank Chairman Furman and the committee for all their hard work on that. Also, First Light had their annual Emergency Action Plan meeting, where we talk about dams and dam safety, and in case something does happen, what plan is put in place. I'd like to thank, I was there, also in attendance was Chief Ceruto, Lieutenant Wheeler, Lieutenant Grabner, and Fire Chief Furlow, as they all were taking part in making sure the plans in New Milford were updated and also keeping us in the loop. There was also attendance from Brookfield, State Police, all the other area towns. So I thank First Light for that as well. Also, roof updates on Sarah Noble. The contractor is continuing to install metal edge in the 1968 edition area. The contractor also on Monday pressure washed the masonry walls for ceiling, and hopefully we can be getting this completed in the next few weeks, weather dependent. On the roads updates, just quickly, the contractor is working on Second Hill. They're looking to pave the top course Thursday or Friday, and that's all depending on how much rain we do get on Thursday. Also, Fordyce are looking to pave the binder next week with weather permitting. Pickett District is a 3-day pave. Appalachia is the contractor there. They're looking to maybe start paving on Friday, but it depends on the weather on Thursday. If not, they'll start next week. Also on our mill and pave, we're looking to do Sun Pond Road, Saddle Ridge, Old Park, Essex Road as well. And lastly, it was brought up, Mr. Zarba's resignation. Mr. Zarba's ending date is on the 18th. So per our policy that we have for employees, I'm not going to speak about anything until Mr. Zarba is no longer an employee. But one thing I do want to say is I wish Mr. Zarba much success in his move and his new job that he has already. And I'd also like to say that acting DPW director is Jack Healy. And Jack Healy's experience is he is was the former DPW director of Litchfield, then became the DPW director of Berlin, and then the town manager of Berlin. So this is a seamless transition. I'm excited of the fact that we have the opportunity to not only make our DPW team the best in the state, but the best in the nation. I'll have more to say on our October 28th town council meeting. Next.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Make a motion that the town council approve all the items on the consent agenda, which include the prior minutes and the tax collector's item.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
I can make a motion. Park and Rec is asking for permission to accept a donation of $250 from M&O Construction at 278 Kent Road for candy for Halloween trunk or treat and special events, as well as a donation of $250 from Hudson Construction Associates at 9 Hidden Ember Road in Danbury for candy and at the Halloween trunk or treat and special events. They're requesting that the donations come from the revenue account 1045050044715 for further appropriation into account 1045050053408 Park and Recreation Program specified.
Second.
There's a lot getting out there, Walter.
Any discussion?
Quite a run on sets there.
Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Park and Rec also requests permission to accept a donation of a gift card in the amount of $25 from Big Juan, a donation gift card of $50 from Stop and Shop, and a donation gift card of $75 from Walmart, all for candy for trunk or treat and special events. The New Milford Park and Rec Commission would like to thank M&O Construction, Hudson Construction Associates, Big Y, Stop and Shop, and Walmart for their generosity.
You know, it probably would be a conflict of interest. How come I don't get any gift cards? Yeah, second.
Any discussion on the motion?
Walter, just hang down there. They'll give you some candy. Okay?
Thank you, Doc.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Good.
Yeah. Discussion and possible approval of acceptance of the Community Emergency Response Team's search request to accept a donation of $1,000 from Kimberly Clark Corporation specifically for CERT training.
Absolute second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
And discussion and possible action regarding a request from the Women's Club of Greater New Milford to close the Southern Crossover on Saturday, November 2nd, 2019, between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. for the annual Stuff the Gazebo food drive. They're requesting this for safety reasons for the people dropping off food donations.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
I'd
Next
just like to
is,
make one point, Mayor.
yes, sir.
You know, consent agendas, items 6, 7, and 8, easily could be put on those in the future.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next is update from Park and Recreation. Dan?
5 minutes, Dan.
You okay up there, Ralph Delmer? Good evening, everybody. First, I'd like to introduce Laura Murphy. She's our new Director of Program and Events for the town of New Milford. So she's jumped right in and has a lot of great ideas, so we're looking forward to the future.
Laura, enjoy that applause to the rest of you.
Ouch.
Not at all.
Well, thank you, everybody, for inviting me this evening. I just wanted to update you on last fiscal year regarding our revenues. We were given a goal to increase our revenues. And I'm happy to say we were able to increase our revenues quite a bit. For fiscal year 2018 and 2019, we were able to increase our revenues compared to 2017 and 18. In 2017 and 18, we had a total revenue of $505,044. In 2018 and 2019, we were able to increase our revenues to $531,315, which is an increase of $26,271. It was a challenge, and I really applaud my staff and the town for supporting us. So thank you, everybody.
And if I could just interject for a second, I just want to thank you and your staff for what I think is just an outstanding, excellent job all the way around. As the council can see, just staying on the revenue piece a little bit, they actually hit their number. Because in speaking with Dan, when you look at the July numbers, and Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, some of those, especially in July months, some of that money from parks actually should have been put into the last year's, but because our days end June 30, they weren't able to deposit it, correct, Dan?
Correct.
Until July. So actually they did hit their number and more. So it was just an outstanding job all the way around, Dan.
Thank you.
Not only from a revenue perspective, but also from a personnel perspective. Our security, I heard from our residents at Lendeming, was stellar. A lot of people were able to use the park the way that they felt that they should use it. And just want to commend Dan and his team for what I think is just an outstanding job.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Dan.
Thank you, everybody.
Any questions for Dan? Mike?
Yeah, and with the increase in revenue, what were your expenses compared to the previous year?
Well, our budget was down compared
You
to
had more revenue and less expenses?
Yeah, last year I came in with a budget that was less than the year previous, and so our definitely our expenses were less.
Good job.
Absolutely. Any? Dr. Mullen?
Dan, I know previously there have been issues about flexibility of scheduling, not only events, but classes, trips and things like that. You may not have the flexibility you want because of restraints from the budget. Is that still an issue for your department?
No, I think a couple of years ago we were able to increase our self-sustaining side so we could offer more programs. So I think we're very adequate now, and we have a lot of wiggle room for Laura to actually start some new programs and come up with new ideas. So I think we're good.
Okay.
The only thing we have, of course, we have to worry about is the minimum wage. We're going to have to budget for that, which was an unexpected increase. So we're going to have to run a tight ship this year.
Do we still have one secretary paid through self-sustaining funds?
Yes, we have a 30-hour secretary that's paid through self-sustaining.
Does she receive benefits?
Yes, she does.
And that's also in the self-sustaining?
Yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
Back to the minimum wage, so that's basically the $1 a year for next, about 4 years. Is that something that you guys are already preparing for?
Yes, we discussed that. I've had a conversation with the mayor on how we're going to handle that in the future. For this year, luckily, the big hit for minimum wage is going to be our summer camp program. Luckily, our program is only 1 month in June that it's going to affect us, so I think we're going to be fine. So I think we'll be good. But in the future, we're gonna have to increase our budget for summer camp to cover those charges, because I think it comes around again right after that, the next increase. So we're gonna have to budget for 2 bumps, really.
And Mike, we're also looking at that as well as for the youth agency and the library. They both have a lot of part-timers, so we're working on that strategy as we speak right now.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for a lot of budgets.
Yep.
Real quick.
Tom?
Yeah, I do want to echo some of the sentiment here and tell you, I think you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you.
Your staff and working with even the commission, I hear fabulous things out of the folks in the commission. You guys are all collaborating. And I want to welcome you, Laura. I think you got a great position to really, let's say, improve on a lot of a great foundation. And that's what we've always tried to do here in town, at least for most of the years I sat here, is improve and build on instead of tear down and rebuild in someone else's image. Build on top of the foundation that we have here. You will do fabulous. You've got great leadership in your whole team between the two of you and a great staff. You're going to do great things.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Dan? All right. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate
Have a
it.
good evening.
Thank you.
Based on the board.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Mayor, if there's nothing else.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, everyone.